Don't touch the dial.
Good morning and welcome to Trends in the Papers on 98.3 Mainland FM, the sound of Lagos. Today is October 11, 2023. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. I trust that we are having a beautiful morning so far, at least. Well, today is 11th of October, and of course it is the International Day of the Girl Child. So there's so many things to talk about as regards that particular one, because well, as an African or as an African living in an African country, there's a lot of conversations as regards the girl child, the looking at them as some sort of baggage. I don't know if that's still in the past or if it's still prevalent today, but then it is a beautiful thing to set a day aside and just appreciate the girl child. Why do we celebrate the girl child? On December 19, 2011, the United Nations General Assembly, also known as UNGA, adopted Resolution 66/170 to declare October 11 as the International Day of the Girl Child, to recognize girls' rights and the unique challenges that girls face around the world. So it is important for us right here at Mila 98.3 FM. We also recognize the rights of girls, and there are so many peculiar things that are very specific to the female gender. Well, that's very important for us to highlight, and in celebration of that, we'll be having a special program designed to celebrate the International Day of Girl Child, which will be happening by 10:15 a.m. to 11 a.m. and of course anchored by Sage Babalola. So stay tuned. Let's learn all about the importance of the girl child and how the girl child can thrive in a society that seems to want to drown the voice of the female gender. My name is Omobola Sandra. This is Trends in the Papers, and we'll be looking through the major trending stories on the front pages of our dailies. We'll do this up until 8:30, and then by 8:30 we'll take a short break. We'll come back by 8:40 for Mainland Focus, where you, our dear listener, gets to be a part of the conversation. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, so you can follow the program live. You can just get the link, send the link to your family, friends, and loved ones, especially those in the diaspora, and they can join the program, learn everything and anything that is major trending stories, especially local news, because by 9:45 we'll also come back for international stories, the top 3 trending stories on the international scene. I won't be doing this alone. Fuhad Sahid will be joining in via the phone line to give in-depth analysis to the stories that we're going to be looking through this morning. And I have my papers here with me already: Vanguard, The Guardian, The Nation, and The Punch newspaper, of course, in a particular order. But before we go on to the stories, good morning, Fuad.
Good morning, Sandra. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm good, very good.
Okay, you sound good. That's good to know. All right, let's start with The Guardian newspaper. The major headline on the front page of The Guardian: federal government's bid for concrete roads to spike capex amid 10 trillion naira owed contractors. I guess we're still on this conversation between Dave Umahi and contractors. Well, as it is now, federal government controls about 34,000 kilometers out of Nigeria's estimated 193,000 kilometers of road, and 2.4 trillion naira has been spent on road construction in 24 years. And at this time now, we're currently owing contractors 14 trillion naira, and only 4 trillion out of that 14 has been paid out of yes, only just that. So as regards this conversation on asphalt and concrete, yes, as regards that conversation on asphalt and concrete, at the moment now, 50 kg bag of cement is about 5,000 to 5,000 5,000 naira. 5,005. Yes, and a ton of reinforcement is about 500,000. The cost of sand per 30 tons is over 60,000 naira in some locations, and there have been conversations that if we are going to be switching to concrete, as suggested by the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, as suggested by him, we'll be looking at spending even more than what we are spending. Contractors have been trying to speak out or speak against this particular one. But then the federal government's budget for road infrastructure may double if the authorities dump asphalt pavement for concrete road technology. And this is contrary to estimation that the adoption of construction technology will reduce the cost of road projects in the short run. All right. What we have now as riders to this report is that materials to spike variation cost by 50%, operatives increase in cement cost, ripple effect in housing sector, of course, that's expected. Return to site of phase revocation, federal government orders contractors as Tinubu backs Umahi on use of concrete. So the federal government seems to have, made its decision and still standing firm on that particular decision as regards the use of concrete technology as against asphalt roads. And according to, there's a report here that says the traditional asphalt pavement road construction methodology consists of sand and bitumen, where bitumen acts as a liquid binding material that holds the asphalt together. So asphalt road lasts about 15 to 20 years on average, all right, while concrete road utilizes cement, and it depends on the load that you put on it. That's what would determine the longevity. But then concrete roads should last about 25 to 30 years. So if you put that against that, and also the pricing now against that, Fuad, your own analysis of this back and forth between the federal government and the contractors, why is it so difficult for them to come to an agreement? This seems to be a good decision, but then also it also seems to be a bad decision at the same time. I don't know how that's working, but Fuad.
Well, the minister had a whole lot to say yesterday. He had gone to see the president. After the meeting with the president, he had an interaction with a journalist. It was the journalist, at the Aso Villa, and he said a whole lot, Sandra, a whole lot. He's insisting that under his watch, contractors have to, especially contractors in some parts of the country. He specifically mentioned the north central part of the country, the southeast, the south, and the southwest. And he's saying that because of our topography, our nature, and the fact that naturally these areas witness heavy rainfall. And that, look, we see situations where, yes, the aggregate lifespan of asphalt constructed is supposed to be 20 years. Sometimes in 5 years, these roads have fallen apart. I think we can actually testify to what the minister is saying. A lot of our roads down south, constructed with asphalt, sometimes 2-3 years are already falling apart. And so what he's insisting is that, look, we cannot be penny wise pound foolish in constructing our roads. You understand? Oh, we think the asphalt is cheaper, but they don't last long. They don't even last the 20 years lifespan that they're supposed to last. So it does not make any sense to continue to construct our roads using that technology. So he said a whole lot. But one of the things he also said yesterday was that, look, there were some contractors ganging up against him to remove it. That, look, there are some contractors in Nigeria who are so powerful to the extent that they have the eyes and ears of the Aso Villa, and that he has it on good authority that some of these contractors are working to ensure he's removed from that position. But luckily, he has the confidence of the president, who has assured him that he's with him on his concrete road construction revolution. Permit me to use that word. So he's insisting that, look, under his watch, that is what he wants. He has done it in Eboyi, and I think it is the best for the country. Sandra, it's difficult not to accept the arguments of the Minister of Works, Mr. Dave Umahi. It's extremely difficult not to accept. The only problem is the issue of cost now, Sandra. The argument of, who is going to bear the extra cost? It's going to be more expensive. And one of the things he also said yesterday is that, look, if the contractor can be more creative and look inward and allow them to share notes and ideas, what would happen is that, look, they would even discover that a lot of the materials they need can be sourced locally, and ultimately could become even cheaper to construct these roads using concrete technology. Again, what I think Mr. 𝗪𴗏 is trying to tell these contractors is that, look, don't be stone-hearted. Be more open-minded about this conversation. Let's share notes. Let's work together so that we can achieve these things together. But if you just stay on your own position and you are not trying to yield, then it becomes extremely difficult because of what he intends to achieve. He also talked about the fact that, look, using concrete roads would also help improve our economy. You know, create jobs, boost the economy. A whole lot of things come with that. And Sandra, like I said, it's extremely difficult to fault the argument of Mr. 𝗪𴗏. If you go around the world, and if the number of the countries I have visited, you hardly find them using asphalt on roads again. You see that a lot of them use the concrete technology because it lasts longer, it's more durable, and it makes a whole lot of sense, really. Look at the 𝗪𝗵𝘁 Expressway now that was constructed with concrete. Look at the nature of that road. It just driving on it, you know, this is a road that will last long than any of the roads you have used asphalt for. So it is what it is. I think Mr. 𝗪𴗏 is standing his ground and insisting that under his watch, the contractors would have to revert only to using concrete technology, especially in the southern part of the country that is more open to rainfall, flooding, and the problems of.
All right, but then Fuad, let's also look at it rather from this angle, because currently the price of cement and iron rod, which are the essential ingredients for concrete pavement, are skyrocketing at this time. I mentioned earlier that a 50 kg bag of cement is selling between 5,000 and 5,500. We've not really heard much from BUA whether, you know, the
3,500 is real or
if it is real or not, or exactly if it's just, you know,
just for the headline.
You know, so we don't really have much as regards that particular one. But as of today, we have that, and then we also have, you know, reinforcement is about 500,000 naira. The cost of sand per 30 tons is over 60,000 naira in some locations. So there are worries that, you know, this would also, you know, have some sort of ripple effect into the housing sector.
Well, again, that's why I think that Mr. 𝗪𴗏 wants serious conversation around these things. You remember the first statement he made when he was made minister, his first media briefing. He said that, look, he's ready to share notes with these contractors. He's also ready to engage suppliers of materials. He specifically mentioned the cement industry. That, look, if he's able to have an agreement with cement manufacturers and he's not getting anything positive from them, he will be looking at the option of importation. You know, because again, what he said is that a number of contractors have said that they discovered that to even bring in their own cement will be cheaper than buying from a local manufacturer. So I think, again, what I want to say is that this is the time for our contractors to also double down and open their minds to all of these possibilities. You understand what I'm saying? I personally does not think that, look, especially in the southern part of the country, we should have any other road now constructed using asphalt. Unfortunately, this is the federal government roads we are talking about. A lot of our state governors construct roads at the state level using asphalt. And it's not just using asphalt, they construct very poor roads. Go to Ogun State, most of the roads that have now been constructed are poorly done. Sorry that I've gone to the state again. It keeps coming.
It happens in Lagos as well. I mean, go to Mushin local government. It happens in
it happens in Lagos.
Every election year. They just go pour, you know, some stones and sand there, and everybody just moves on.
And just pour small asphalt on top of it, and then one rain falls, everything falls apart.
That's just that's it.
Wasting public funds, you know, and then they'll commission those roads too. Poorly constructed roads.
That's where we are going. So is it all really worth it? Because at this time now, federal government controls just 34,000 kilometers out of the estimated Nigeria's 193,000 kilometers. That's all that the federal government is controlling. So if the 𝗪𝗏, yes, with good intentions and all of that, is thinking of, you know, let's move with concrete in order to have long-lasting roads, but then the ripple effect of this change from asphalt to concrete. Would it all be worth it if just 34,000 kilometers out of 193, and then you have the fact that even the housing sector, before you can, build one block of shop or something now would cost more just because the federal government is bidding for concrete. So, looking at all of that, do you think it will all be worth it?
One of the things Mr. 𝗪𴗏 said yesterday was that more cement manufacturing companies would also spring up, because that will create the opportunity for them to come into the market, since the dominant ones may not be able to meet the demand needs of contractors or the housing sector. So it also creates more opportunity. So what you could have is situations where more people go into manufacturing of cement in the country, since the opportunity has now come. So we have to look at it from a bigger picture. Not, sometimes these things are about perception. If you are only seeing a problem, you'll be seeing problem. Or if you are determined to see the problem in a policy, you always see a problem. But if you are determined to open your mind to look at the positives, you might begin to see opportunities that will come from this arrangement. But honestly, on the first thought, I think, especially in the southern part of the country, because of our topography and nature, flooding, and the fact that, look, a lot of our areas are below sea water level and all of that, it's just advisable that we start constructing our roads, even at local government, state and federal level, using concrete technology. It just makes a whole lot of sense.
Do you think that the state's governors are also going to tap into this innovation?
They should ordinarily. I think we should insist. Like I said, I've seen roads constructed by some of these state governors, and I know it's just for the optics. These roads will not last. Look, so there was a time during the, sorry that I keep referring to Ogun State, just because of my interaction. There was a time when the former governor of Ogun State, Mr. Gbenga Daniel, constructed a particular road around Ojodu-Beja, linking a place called Akute. And I drove on that road when it was newly done. Sandra, that road did not last 12 months before the whole thing fell apart. I'm telling you. Now they are now redoing that road. Unfortunately, now this governor of Ogun State is reconstructing that road. It's almost completed now. The same asphalt technology, even before commissioning of the road, Sandra, there are already indications that road will not last 5 years. So the resources of Ogun State being wasted on just a singular road that so another government comes now after maybe 8 years, they'll have to do the road again. It doesn't make any sense.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Fuad. The story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Federal government's bid for concrete roads to spike capex amid 10 trillion naira owed contractors. That's another conversation as well. But
so you ask yourself, Sandra,
yes.
we are owing contractors all around the country about 14 trillion naira. We've only been able to do about 4 trillion. So all of the monies that have accrued to the nation, what have we been doing with them? We can't even pay contractors. Unfortunately, Sandra, you also have a situation where there are too many institutions getting involved with road construction. It's so decentralized. And for me, decentralization of things like this creates room for all manner of corruption and sharp practices. As we are, Sandra, you remember that there was a time we were reviewing stories of the NNPC also helping to award contracts to construct roads, paying contractors to construct roads. Why would the NNPC get involved in things like that? I am sure if you look into the books of the CBN now, don't be surprised that you see some roads in the country financed directly by the CBN. I think all of these things should be aggregated and centralized under the Ministry of Works so that we can have clear accountability. Because again, Mr. 𝗪𴗏 was saying yesterday that, look, the NNPC had paid some contractors billions of naira, and some of them had not even moved. So my mind was like, why would the NNPC even get involved with paying contractors to construct roads? They call it something intervention now. It does not make any sense. It only opens up the sector for corruption.
All right, then. Thank you very much. Let's move on from that story now. Still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, we also have here over 3,000 Nigerians on death row amid calls to abolish capital punishment. Sometime this week, I think on Monday, yes, there was the story broke as regards the judgment of the policeman who shot to death.
Mr.
Drambi Vandi. All right. So that conversation has been going on, and now we're having a conversation as regards should we still have capital punishment, because he was sentenced to death by hanging. All right. So barely 24 hours after that, what we have now is that members of the international community are coming up and urging Nigeria to abolish the death penalty. What? They're arguing that capital punishment is outdated and it does not stop crime. So they have tasked the federal government to review that particular policy. Do you think that, let's work with our own reality here? Thank you very much for your advice and suggestion. Or do you agree that maybe we should do away with capital punishment and look for other more stringent punitive measures?
Death penalty in Nigeria is a reluctance of our governors to sign off on those judgments. So you have a lot of people on death penalty because the governors are refusing to sign. I think on record, the only one we have in recent time was Edo State. But later someone gave an indication that even before Governor Adasoshomole and Edo State signed off on one, the former governor of Kano State, Shekarau, also had signed off on one. And that was the much that we have on record as to governors signing off on death sentence for anybody in the country. So people are saying it doesn't make sense for people to be sentenced to death and they remain for the rest of their life on the death row. They don't even know what's going to happen to them. You understand what I'm saying, Sandra? Hello?
I'm with you, Fuad. Hello? Hello? Oh, well, thank you very much. We'll try to reconnect with Fuad. I really don't know. We were hearing you loud and clear, just in case you're still with us. Side Fuad. This is Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. We're looking through major trending stories on the front page of our dailies. We're talking about international community urging Nigeria to abolish the death penalty. Fuad.
Yes. So like I said, I think on the premise of the fact that, look, you have this death sentence coming and the governors are not signing off on it, we might begin to look at doing away with capital punishment and doing more of life sentence for crimes of that nature. In fact, there's also a problem, Sandra, with executioners. We are hearing that we only have one person taking up that job now. People are not applying.
Only one?
The executioner. Yes, now only one. And they say there's vacancy. There's vacancy for... You don't understand what I'm saying. Nobody's ready to... Yes, sir. Don't you know it's a job, Sandra?
I get it, but they're not. Are they doing anything? Are the executioners executing? That's what I'm saying. You just highlighted the fact that there are a lot of people on death row who are just languishing in our correctional centers. So I mean, is there really any point at the end of the day for
employ executioners?
Yes, I'm just asking.
What if the governors now decide to start signing those things? What happens? Who is going to execute now? So they say people are not applying. So I think I'm not actually saying this because of the advice of the international community. They just have to give us to decide what we want to do, because our own peculiarities is not our own peculiarity. So, but I think we need to look at this issue of capital punishment really, because it doesn't make sense to keep people perpetually on death row without signing off on it. The governors are not doing it, so we may just have to do away with it.
All right, but do you also agree that it does not stop crime? I mean, do you think maybe there's no point in it? It doesn't really do anything. The effects are not really there. So what's the whole point?
Well, the thing about crime is that no matter how big the punishment is, crimes will still be committed. It's just the structure of the society. You will always have criminals. You understand? Even in countries that operate in Sharia law, where you steal and you go through the process of Sharia and then your hands are cut off, come to stringent punishment. You see how people committing crime. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't think punishment necessarily deters people from committing crime. It's just in the nature of man to commit crime, because that's in itself the structure of the society. But it would be wrong to have a situation where people commit crime and there's no punishment. So the level of punishment is now the debate, whether it now makes sense to kill people or just give them life sentence and all of that. But I think on the issue of capital punishment, it's something we have to look into and then maybe do away with. Things we are reluctant, to continue to sign off on this judgment when they come.
All right, thank you very much, Fuad. That story is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Let's move on now. We also have here Senate moves to tackle alleged oil theft by security forces and militia groups. And that story is on page 3 of the Guardian. And what we have is that Senate has ordered a probe into alleged theft of crude oil by members of the nation's security forces and militia groups. All right. And this was sponsored by Ned Nwoko of Delta North, who quoted figures on how oil bunkering has impeded Nigeria's economy. And according to him, oil theft cost a revenue loss of 2.3 trillion naira in 2023. And he alleged that some bad eggs within security agencies conspire with unscrupulous persons in the oil industry to engage in illicit activities. So, Fuhad, is this another probe that's just going to set up a committee and, you know, whatever?
I don't really want anybody. I don't want anybody's anxiety unnecessarily. There's nothing in that probe that we don't know. If you understand what I'm saying, there's nothing practically in what Mr. Ned Nwoko, the senator, is saying that we don't already know. If you understand what I'm saying,
yep.
You understand. There's nothing in what he's saying, because we know that our security operatives are complicit in all of this. We know how these things are done. You ask an average Niger Delta person, even ask Mr. Ochukwu, driver, who is from Niger Delta, they will tell you how this oil bunkering, the stealing of our crude is done. It's out there in the public. So what would the investigation unravel now? Is there any new thing to unravel? You don't understand what I'm saying. I think it's just the government getting more intentional about fixing the problem of oil theft. There's no new thing to unravel about oil theft. The information is out there. You understand? Like I said, just talk to any local person from Niger Delta who stays in the oil community. The information is out there. What about the Tompolo arrangement? I think it's an Ned Nwoko, if he doesn't know what is going on there, should call Tompolo and sit in there for 1 hour, and he gets all the information he needs. It's just us fixing the problem. That's the problem. Getting more intentional and deliberate about fixing the problem. We'll do this probe now. You hear a manner of story. How many probes have we done that nothing has come out of? So many probes. We've even lost count. So again, maybe just to make the headline that Mr. Ned Nwoko is doing something as a senator for his people, I understand, but I don't. But I don't say anything in this, really.
Right.
Other than he's just making the news. Nothing much.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Fuad. That story is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. We also have on page 3, theft, vandalism, undermine gas production as Train 7 nears completion. So as Nigeria inches closer to completion of Train 7, NLNG, that's Nigeria LNG Limited, has asked the federal government to urgently address the loopholes in the production sharing contracts that govern deep water exploration, adding that the segment is yet to offer commercially viable terms for producers. And the MD of NLNG, Dr. Philip, believes that the gas feedstock the country needs is readily available, but inherent bottlenecks must be addressed to unlock the resources. It's a very interesting read. You can get the details on page 3 of the Guardian. And finally, from the Guardian newspaper, court remands siblings for clubbing uncle to death. And that is on page 8 of the Guardian. I'm sure Fuad is going to say something as regards mental health, but
it says his mental. Where you already? His mental health now.
A magistrate court sitting in Ilorin remanded 2 siblings, 25-year-old Musa and 20-year-old Aliu Idris, for allegedly clubbing their uncle to death. And they were arraigned before the court for their offense. The police described their offense as culpable homicide and criminal conspiracy. And it's just a very long read. The corpse of the man was discovered late in the day, and they said they attacked. The suspect wanted to attack their father over a little misunderstanding, which led to
their father. Just imagine.
Yes, which led to the intervention of the uncle. So the uncle was trying to do omolaja, and unfortunately,
raising children in this era comes with its own challenge. It's a different kind of thing. So, again, it's not just the attitude is different, the belief is different. So what runs in their mind, you don't even know. You understand what I'm saying? So there are too many things out there now. So they look at their father and they are not even seeing their father, they are seeing something else. Because you understand, so and that's why parents must be hands-on from day one. You give back to your child, be available. The society is ready to take your child away and turn that child to a monster. So as you are praying, the era of father goes right, mother goes left, and then you leave your child to people to help you train, you create monsters out of them. The society has maybe 50% for parents to train good children. Now it has to be 100%.
The trends in the papers on mainland 98.3 FM. We're moving on now to the Punch newspaper. As the show progresses, the major headline on the front page of the Punch: Forex crisis, Naira plunges to 1,025 per dollar. There are job losses, or there are projections, job losses. That's coming from NECA. And then we have SMEs decry impending short.
Just going to wake up every day and continue to report this, and there's a free fall. But you know my worry, Sandra, are we getting enough from the government on what they want to do to stem the tide? Is there anything coming from government to assure us that, okay, whatever we have is a temporary challenge, they have an idea of how to bring it back? Are we getting anything? Is there a clear policy direction? Sandra, yesterday there was an article in the Financial Times on the economic policies of this government. And the opinion article, the editorial, clearly stated that this government seems to be announcing policies without a clear idea of how to implement them. The same thing we've been saying, that people have been criticizing us for. Said, look, what they've discovered, and look, if there are people you should respect their opinion, there has to be, international papers like the Financial Times. That look, this government seems to just be throwing in policies upon policies without a clear idea as to how to implement them. Now, because what we have now is now a cycle, Sandra. We wake up every day in the morning to review the papers. And it's the same story of a free fall of the Naira to the dollar, without us having anything coming from the other side, which is the government, on how to stem the tide of this free fall. There are larger implications for this free fall, Sandra. Unemployment, cost of production rising, yes.
Maybe this will make you feel a little bit better. The House of Representatives has directed the Committee on Banking Regulation to probe the use of...
You see, another probe.
To probe the use of dollar and other foreign currencies as legal tender for domestic transactions in Nigeria. But then, going anywhere.
Now, Sandra, in the minds of the House... Wait now, so that's the only reason why we have a free fall. I just, maybe to just into probes, call this, call that, those people come, sometimes without any data or no figures. What we are saying is we have to be real about this forex crisis. Sandra, out till now, you floated it.